Good morning. It is Monday the 29th, and here we are almost halfway through the year. And while 2020 has been kind of a doozy, we're back to going to meets. Sad to hear about USA Powerlifting canceling all the national events. I can't say that I'm surprised, especially since they're in Florida, which seems to be not unlike Tennessee, having, quite an uptick in positives. Of course, now I think some of that is because there's so much more testing going on, and I think you're going to continue to see, some growth. But I think you're also going to see a growth in the number of people that are asymptomatic, and also, more importantly, that have recovered. But we still need to be prudent. But we also, I think, are going to have to learn to live with this virus. I don't think we can continue shutting things down, but it does mean that we have to be smart. So Melissa and I wore masks to the meet this weekend that I talked about in the last video log, and we've just decided that if we're going to go out in public, we're going to wear a mask. Now, I don't know if it makes any difference or not. Melissa's a nurse. I know they have to wear a mask. And so she said that she would prefer that I did. You know what? I'm just going to do it. And that's fine if you don't. I was out quite a bit. There were employees of places didn't have masks on. So, I don't know what the issue will be going forward, but that's what Melissa and I have decided to do. What today's theme is about is consistency. And I'll start with, a lot of people will take a week off or 3 or 4 days off after a meet, and I never prescribe that. I'm not saying that you shouldn't rest, but I really feel like, especially if you're trying to be an athlete, there are times where you just unplug for a few days or whatever the case may be, if there's an injury or illness. But I think, all things being equal, it's better to be active. Now, you don't go right back into a training cycle, but the week after a meet, I have the lifters show up, because to tell you what, the biggest thing is the habit and the timing and those types of things. And I think lifters, that some of them just have to, where they have to train at different random times because of their job and family obligations and stuff like that, I think they would tell you that a routine would be better suited. As far as performance goes, ultimately you got to do what you got to do, and I understand that fully. But I always prescribe a week's worth of training after a meet. It's obviously significantly lighter. It's generally less volume, and and then that way, the science is, within 72 hours of inactivity, strength loss occurs and atrophy begins. That's 3 days. Generally people are competing on Saturday, so I have them come in Monday, light bench workout, Tuesday, light squat workout, and then Thursday, when we do our close grip decline, and some others do flat bench, that's when we start ramping it back up. And then that way, the following Monday, what I have found, the following Monday, begins the new training cycle. But years ago, when GL was playing high school football, GL was a 305 pound kid that played both sides of the line all game long. The only time he came out of the lineup was on special teams and maybe on extra points. Otherwise, he was on one side of the line. And man, that's a tough night. You're getting hit on every play, and he's a large kid. And what we would do, and I argued with his mother, but what we found is, he'd play on Friday night, and then Saturday and Sunday he would lay around all weekend, and Monday he was actually very lethargic. And I said, that's because he's laying around. So what we started doing is, Saturday and Sunday morning, he'd meet me at the gym, and we would walk on the treadmill, and just a good pace for 30 minutes. And he got to the point where he would do an auxiliary workout with me on Saturday. But we would walk on the treadmill, and then he could rest. Then he could do whatever he wanted, made sure he hydrated and ate and took his supplements. And what we found is that Monday morning, because he would come to the gym, he had his energy levels were higher, and he was actually more recovered. So there's a lot of truth to active recovery. It's the secret is being smart about it. You don't want to overdo it, but what I've learned is when you lay around, it tends to be a detriment. The other thing that I want to talk about is, regardless of the plan that you use, the programming, whatever, programming seems to be the going trend right now with what term you use. It's the one that you will do consistently. And I think that's what you can attribute to Adam and Brittany's and everybody at the gym. Their success is, you're ultra consistent. They show up, they do the work, they get the work in, and by and large, the more consistent you are, the better you perform, and that's what we have found. So that's the thing I want to encourage you to do is look at your training, do what you got to do consistently, videotape everything. That's going to be a vital tool. Your training partners, if you have them, are going to be your biggest commodity. And if you train alone, then make sure you're videotaping everything so you have reference, and can see what's going on. A lot of times people that train alone, they'll send me video, and I can upload it to Coach's Eye and show them, whether there's a correction or adjustment or just something to pay attention to. And those are vital tools, to help you not only be consistent, but to be successful. Being successful and winning is a practice, just like being unsuccessful and losing. You'll see lifters, that compete, and there's people that are great gym lifters, and then they get to the meet and they fall apart, and so consistency, having a plan, all those things, even though it's, something that's repetitive, you say it all the time, it's vital to being successful. So that's my encouraging word for today. Be consistent, work hard consistently. All right, have a good day.